For my service learning, I volunteered at Pleasant Valley Elementary School in the third grade Reading Support Center. The population I served were students who received special education services at the third grade level. The atmosphere of the classroom was very upbeat and colorful. It was a station teaching setup where a group of students would work in different areas and would rotate to a different teacher. The school itself was under a lot of construction, which seemed to interfere with the students' learning. I interacted with a lot of different students each week on the same task of categorizing their spelling words and writing them in alphabetical order and applying these words to real life. One of the most challenging moments was when I was working with a student who has Down syndrome, and I was asked to teach him how to use a dictionary by having him look up his spelling words. I thought it would be easy, but when I went to explain it, I found myself having trouble explaining a simple task in a simple way. I felt like how I was explaining the task was confusing for him, which was discouraging for me as a future educator. A connection that I found when I was working with students who had a learning disability. I noticed similar characteristics that the book mentioned that is common with people who have learning disabilities. The students I worked with have reading problems, poor social skills, and behavior problems. I learned in both my service learning experience and in the classroom about how a student with a specific disability generally acts and a common characteristic that is associated with the given disability. But I was given a much better, deeper understanding of the differences of each disability through my service learning when I was able to engage one-on-one with the individual students. I learned that even though two students may have the same disability, it does not mean they are similar. Two boys both had learning disabilities and were nothing alike. One was very social, behaved appropriately, and struggled with reading comprehension and writing skills. The other boy was the opposite. His writing and reading was a lot better, and he had very poor social and behavioral skills. Even though people might have the same disability, it does not mean they are similar to each other. Throughout my service learning experience, I learned that I'm good at teaching kids how to read critically and effectively, and it's something I enjoyed. I found it surprising that one of the reading teachers did not like her job at all. She seemed miserable all the time and was not friendly to her students. This upset me because the students could easily pick up on her negative attitudes, and that negativity brushed off on the students, and their interest in wanting to read seemed to decline. This was upsetting for me to watch because the students were being negatively impacted because of the teacher's sour attitude. My experience was different than I anticipated because I assumed that I'd be working with children with severe disabilities, but instead I was working with kids that you would not know had a disability unless you were told so. A critical incident that occurred was a student who has autism became very upset when he looked at his snack and realized that his mom packed whole grain goldfish instead of traditional goldfish she is used to. At first I was not sure how to respond because in my mind this change was so small, but for the student it was so large, and that was mind-boggling to me. I eventually responded by removing the goldfish away from the situation and changing the subject to a completely different topic, and over time the student forgot about the goldfish and the situation was resolved. I worked with kids who had anything from mild to moderate learning disabilities, autism, and Down syndrome, which was really great practice for me since I want to pursue a career in special education. I also love knowing that I enjoy and am skilled at teaching students how to read. I did the same task of organizing and alphabetizing spelling words every week that I wish I was given a different task to see what the students were like with different material. I am different after this experience because I am aware of less severe disabilities and more confident in my ability to teach. I feel more educated and prepared to enter a future classroom. I believe the knowledge and skills I've obtained from my experience is crucial to have as a future educator because you should know where your students are coming from and how to help them. I have learned to look at students as distinct individuals, that even though students may have the same disability does not mean they are similar. I will individualize my teaching. This environment allows future educators to appreciate what it means to be a teacher and gets you excited to have a future classroom of your own one day. If a student is placed in an area they have no particular enthusiasm towards, the student is not going to be engaged in the project. I learned classroom management skills and individualizing methods of teaching for different students. To control classroom management, I would use a reward system and a behavior chart to promote positive, appropriate classroom behavior. Events like these are common within special education classrooms and it is valuable knowledge to understand how to correctly handle this type of situation. Even though two individuals might have the same disability, they are still two completely different people with different interests. Something I have learned about myself through this experience is I absolutely want to be a special education teacher. Being able to have this experience and be hands-on in a real special education classroom reassured me that this is the career path I want to follow and this is the passion of mine I really want to pursue.
Created using Powtoon.